You're looking at a live view of the Falcon-9 rocket on the SpaceX launch pad, preparing for liftoff in just about 10 minutes from now at 7:15 a.m. Eastern Time. Hello and welcome to the live webcast of the NROL-76 mission. I'm John Federspiel, a lead mechanical design engineer here at SpaceX, and today SpaceX is launching a classified payload for the National Reconnaissance Office from historic Launch Pad 39A at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Now, today's mission and final orbit are classified, and as such, we'll conclude coverage of the primary mission following separation of the fairing. But because we are going to be bringing back our first stage at Landing Zone 1, we will attempt to recover this at Landing Zone 1, and we'll continue to cover this secondary objective once the primary mission coverage has concluded. For today's mission, that landing will occur in daylight, and it should produce some incredible footage. Now, the Falcon-9 is vertical right now at Launch Complex 39A. This is the same launch pad that the Saturn V took off from for the Apollo program, as well as many space shuttle launches. In fact, you still see some of the structures surrounding the Falcon-9 rocket from the space shuttle days. We first leased that pad a few years ago, and since then, we've started launching from that pad at the beginning of this year. As you can see, the Falcon-9 launch vehicle is erect, vertical right now. It was rolled out of the hangar a few hours ago, and that vehicle stands over 200 feet tall. It's roughly 12 meters in diameter, about 36 feet. This Falcon-9 launch vehicle itself, it's a two-stage rocket. There's a first stage at the bottom, joined by an inner stage, a composite inner stage, followed by a second stage made of aluminum. And then on top is the payload fairing. That's where the payload for today's mission is encapsulated. You're seeing some white smoke coming off the side of the vehicle. That's not actually smoke, but that's the liquid oxygen bleeding off. It's a bit like breathing out of your mouth in a cold winter day, and you see that puff of smoke coming off as the gaseous liquid oxygen. The liquid oxygen becomes gaseous. Now at liftoff, the thrust of that Falcon 9 is roughly equivalent to about 5 747s taking off. When all 9 of those Merlin engines fire, it's capable of putting out over 1.7 million pounds of thrust. Now, as I mentioned previously, we are going to be attempting to bring back our first stage at Landing Zone 1. And you'll see that pad on your screen in a few minutes. It is nearly 300 feet in diameter. It will look small from the far cameras, but Landing Zone 1 is a 300-foot diameter pad. And there you see it right there. We first successfully landed on that pad about 16 months ago when we delivered 11 Orbcomm satellites to low Earth orbit. Now, since that mission, we've had 2 other successful landings at Landing Zone 1, with the most recent occurring on February 19th of this year. And as we mentioned previously, today's mission is classified, and as such, we're going to conclude coverage of the primary mission following separation of the fairing, but we will continue to cover the land landing attempt, our secondary objective for today's mission.
Engine bleed started.
We have a little over 6 minutes left in today's count. The good news right now is all systems are go for an on-time launch from Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral, Florida. We are just inside the 6-minute mark, which means we are finishing off, topping off RP1, or we just finished topping off RP1 on stage 1. We'll continue to load liquid oxygen onto the second stage until the T-3 minute mark. We try and load that as late as possible to keep that liquid oxygen as cold as possible as we do densify it before we load it onto the vehicle. Now, this entire fuel loading process is about 1.1 million pounds of propellant we're loading on over the course of a 70-minute process. We also have been given the go from the range for today's mission. Kennedy Space Center and Cape Canaveral Air Force Station are tracking no issues. And we are looking at no issues from weather to report. Now, this is a 2-hour launch window. If any issues do come up in today's count, we would have the opportunity to recycle and target a launch towards the end of the window. We also, if anything did come up, we do have a backup launch opportunity tomorrow at the same time. But for now, all systems continue to be go at Cape Canaveral and Kennedy Space Center.
Vehicle's pressing for strong back retrack.
Strong back lower sequence has started.
Now, in case you missed it, about a month ago, SpaceX added to the incredible history of Pad 39A with our launch of the SES-10 satellite to geostationary transfer orbit. Now, you're seeing that launch on your screen right now of the first time that, for the CRS-8 mission, where the booster of that rocket, the first stage, lifted off when we were delivering our 8th commercial resupply services mission to the International Space Station. We brought that booster back, performed a bunch of inspections, and we then launched it with the SES-10 satellite. That's the launch you're seeing right now on your screen, and successfully delivered the SES-10 to that geostationary transfer orbit, and again landed it back on Earth on our drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You. This launch and landing and relaunch marked the world's first reflight of an orbital class rocket. And it was a very exciting day for all of us at SpaceX and certainly everybody in the aerospace industry.
T-minus 3 minutes.
Now we're just 3 minutes left in today's count.
GNC verify stage 2 TVC motion nominal.
You heard about a minute ago the vehicle pressed up for strong back retract.
Stage 2 TVC motion acknowledged.
The forward arms of the strong back opens and the strong back retracted back a degree and a half. Our liquid oxygen loading has completed on the stage 1. They performed the final TVC checks on the Merlin engines.
Complete. Strongback at 88.5 degrees.
And the strongback has fully retracted to its resting state before liftoff. That strongback will retract fully at the moment of liftoff. Now, coming up in the final, at the final minute, our flight computer is going to enter into its terminal count auto sequence start. That's where it's going to perform a series of hundreds of checks across the sensors on the vehicle and really set the vehicle up for its final few moments before liftoff. And with that, we're actually going to turn it over to terminal count unless you listen in to the final minute and a half of today's count.
Vehicles in self-line. Yeah, close out started.
FTS, verify AFTS is ready for launch.
AFTS is ready for launch.
Ground side gas closeout's complete.
Hold, hold, hold. This is launch director calling a hold on the countdown net. We have an issue with the Toto sensor on first stage. Launch conductor, please put us into a 24-hour recycle.
Copy. Launch abort is running. BD when prompted, please proceed with script side safing.
Yep.
ECGC, stand by on FireX.
And LC starting scrub side saving.
Now, if you're just tuning in right now, or if you've been watching along, you did see that the launch conductor did call a hold for today's mission. The team was looking into a sensor issue on the first stage that was a bit out of family of what we were expecting. And out of an abundance of caution, we have decided to scrub today's launch. We do have a backup launch opportunity tomorrow, same time, 7 a.m. Eastern time. The window will open. So with that, that will conclude our coverage today. Due to a sensor issue on our first stage, we are going to scrub today's launch and pick it up tomorrow for our backup opportunity, same time. So for further updates, please follow along with us, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, as well as our website, spacex.com. We'll keep you updated on our progress as we lead up to our second attempt for tomorrow's launch. Thank you again for joining us, and so long for now.